Authorities are reportedly getting closer to identifying the brains or the mastermind behind the killing of radio broadcaster Percy Lapid. Government agencies involved in the investigation are closely coordinating to ensure an airtight case. How soon can they pin down the mastermind and resolve the case? Good evening, I'm Pia Hontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, Politics as usual. The family of slain broadcaster Percy Lapid is hopeful the brains behind the crime will be identified soon. Lapid's brother, Roy Mabasa, had a case conference today with the Justice Department and other government agencies pursuing the investigation.
Sa palagay ko, nalalapit na tayo ron, sapagkat yung sa aming mga pag-uusap kanina, mukhang meron ng tinutumbok. Subalit, I'm not at liberty to say to you kung ano yung mga pangalan o kakikilanlan. Hahayaan po natin ang DOJ na tapusin yung kanilang trabaho kasama ang NBI at ang PNP. At magkakaroon yata ng announcement in the next 1, 2, or 3 days.
The Justice Department plans to file charges against the suspects in the Percy Lapid killing on Monday or by Monday. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says they still need 2 more case conferences with other agencies and the Mabasa family. The summary investigation before a prosecutor will begin on Saturday.
Maybe Monday yung filing or may inquest fiscal naman kami Sabado, baka papasukin ko na. If kung matutuloy sa Sabado, papasok na ako ng inquest siguro. Or somebody to be on call, no? Marami pang pag-uusapan. It's not as simple as it seems. It's not as simple as it seems. Okay? Marami talagang angles na kailangan i-work out. And we will answer them in due time. But we have to work out the details. Kasi this is the hardest part of all, putting everything together.
The Justice Secretary clarified that separate charges will be filed for the death of June Villamor, the supposed middleman in the Lapid Slay case, who was an inmate inside the new Bilibid prison. Our first guest tonight, Attorney Danilo Pelayo, lawyer for the Mabasa family. Good evening, Attorney Pelayo. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Well, I wanted to begin with this, sir. Itong mastermind, when the Justice Secretary and Roy Mabasa say that we're very near that point in time when we can identify already the mastermind, can you tell us how many masterminds? Is this just 1 or 2 people or 3?
As of now, Pia, we from what we heard from the secretary during our meeting this morning, we are looking at 1 mastermind so far, unless this other mastermind would link other people involved in the killing.
And this 1 mastermind is, of course, not in the new Bilibid prison. He's outside. Kilala po ba siya?
Yes.
I'm sure he was named, right? He was named in that case conference, and you did
he
hear
was
his
named
name.
by some of the witnesses, although I'm not at liberty to outright tell you and preempt the Department of Justice from bearing its findings on this.
Yes. When you say some of the witnesses, like which witness are we talking about? Because last week, ang sabi ni Attorney Causing, meron po kayong 2 private witnesses, 2 witnesses that the Mabasa family knows about. Are there other witnesses that the government is holding? For example, are we referring to the sister of June Villamor, the supposed contact of Joel Escorial?
Well, aside from the testimony of 1 witness, whom we already identified, there are other witnesses who surfaced, especially the heads or the leaders of the gangs inside the Bilibid.
Are you saying, sir, that Attorney Pelayo, that yung witnesses, yung mga heads ng gang sa loob ng Bilibid, sila po yung testigo para magsabi kung sino yung mastermind?
Yes, they also some of them also mentioned the mastermind behind the killing.
And itong mention ng mastermind na ito, like you said earlier, wala siya sa Bilibid. They named this person.
No, he is not in the Bilibid.
Can you, if you say na kilala siya, kanina sabi po ninyo, kilala siya, ano po yung profession niya or paano siya kilala? Or is he,
my partner, Attorney Kosing, has earlier tagged uh, uh, General Bantag, and it seems that we are looking at him as the one of the masterminds.
Oh, I'm sorry, one of the masterminds. So now you're saying there's
Yes,
more
so
than
far.
one. There's more than one mastermind.
We are not yet sure. We are actually relying on the findings of the Department of Justice, Pia.
Okay. You're referring, of course, to former Bucor Director General Gerald Bantag. Of course, he has denied any involvement here. Is this because of the killing of June Villamor? So, or the killing or the death of June Villamor inside New Bilibid, kung hindi po siya namatay and therefore hindi po magiging person of interest si Gerald Bantag?
Well, I don't think so, Pia, because he has already been tagged before, even before when in the revelation of the gunman, and after the killing of the middleman, who is Villamor, several other witnesses surfaced.
So when you say several other witnesses, how many witnesses who are inside the Bilibid na sinasabi po ninyong heads of gangs identified him as the mastermind?
There are, as far as I know, there are three gang leaders identified, plus several other minor inmates.
And what kind of evidence did they present para maging kapani-paniwala yung kanilang testimony? Because, apart from them talking about it, what else is going to be used to prove that?
They executed extrajudicial confessions.
Extrajudicial confessions, sworn statements, sworn affidavits.
Sworn statements. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And in those sworn affidavits, how are
and
they?
their stories, Pia, somehow, matched.
Okay. And in their sworn statements, apart from what they know or what they heard or what they were told, ano pa po ba yung ebidensya? So bukod sa testimonya nila, is there any evidence they presented to prove their claims?
Well, they talk of the money trail also in the payment of the money to the gunman, and these are corroborated by the bank deposits.
What did they say exactly about the money trail, about the bank deposits?
Yes, they also specified or described the how and who got the money in payment for the killing.
Sinabi po ba nila kanino galing yung pera, sir?
Yes. Some of them were raised inside the premises of the Bilibid, and some of them were given by somebody, which I cannot reveal right now.
Okay. Sir, can you tell us what will the status of the Mabasa family be? Will they enter the witness protection program, for example, given that they say they have been threatened by several other individuals?
So far, right now, there has been no plan yet to enter the witness protection program, and the threats have not really been sustained so far, from what I know from Mr. Roy Mabasa.
I see. Si June Villamor, nag-autopsy na, no? There was a first autopsy and a second one by Dr. Raquel Fortun. Are you looking at yet another autopsy, and at the same time, Do you, as per your information, is he the only contact? Was he the only contact inside the New Bilibid prison, or were there others? Because meron po
There
silang
were
sinecure.
others.
There were others. Ilan po sila,
Yes,
sir? And
actually, I saw the original copy of the pathological findings of, and I think it's very exhaustive enough on the autopsy of Mr. June Villamor. So I don't think there would be another need for another autopsy.
Okay.
And so I was saying, what was I saying?
Are there,
Sorry.
yes, yung iba pa pong contact na sinasabi. So hindi
Oh,
lang
yeah.
si Villamor. Because ang sabi po nila, meron pang pinasecure na ibang tao doon sa loob ng New Bilibid.
Yes, there are still other persons being secured, and in fact, we suggested that they be taken out of Bilibid to be put in another facility.
How many, sir, are we talking about here na possible na contact? At ano po ba yung evidence na sila po yung contact? Sino po yung nagbigay ng ebidensya? Which witnesses?
Well, as far as I know, meron pang at least one ngayon na isa pang additional contact. But it's actually via a web of conspiracy. I mean, it's a little bit complicated. So that's why we really have to. I mean, the Department of Justice and the NBI and the police really have to look deeper into the whole situation.
Yes, as Secretary Boying Remulla was saying, it's not as simple as it looks. And by saying this, Attorney Pelayo, my last question to you, do you think that
Yes.
this is just the tip of the iceberg, that we're going to discover more things as you go along?
As we go along, as we speak right now, we have already have several new suspects, and without preempting the Department of Justice from revealing them, I am just saying that we have several suspects.
When you say several, ilan po ito? Can you count them on one hand? So 5 or less than 5 or mas marami? And when you say suspect na bilang mastermind or suspect na...
No, not mastermind,
As what?
but as a co-conspirator or co-principals in the slaying.
All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Attorney Danilo Pelayo, lawyer for the Mabasa family. Thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. We'll be back after this quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. We're still talking about the Percy Lapid killing. Our next guest, Philippine Star columnist Ramon Montulfo. Sir Mon, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Evening.
Okay, well, this all started with this exchange between you and Roy Mabasa. Let's begin with what you said first, where pinansin nyo the way the walkthrough of the crime scene was done.
He was not conducting himself as a journalist, but as an investigator. He gave the impression that he was the chief investigator. In fact, he took part in, or he walked through the crime scene, and that's not the job of a journalist. The job of a journalist, especially police reporter, is to report the findings of investigators.
Okay, but could he have been doing that because he is Percy Lapid's brother? He, for example, also said all he was doing was, quote unquote, acting proactively to ensure a thorough investigation of the case, unquote.
Mahuhuli mo yung isda sa kuwan sa bunganga o sa bibig, because proactive, what does it mean? It means that one should be ahead of. Proactive means getting ahead for anticipating future events. But that's not the way a reporter should act. A reporter, even if he was the brother of Percy Lapid, he should, out of delicadeza or propriety or decency, he should keep a distance.
Distance himself from this. Okay. Well, he also said that and we quote again from his October 29 Facebook post, Roy said that, quote, he never reached out to the U.S. Embassy or any embassy for support. The fact is, embassies of several countries reached out to Roy, who covered foreign affairs as a diplomatic reporter for many years, to offer their support and express concern over the murder.
You know, it's in One News PH. What's One News PH? It's connected with the Philippine Star, and I simply quoted the paper or the reporter, and he said there that he sought out the help of the U.S. Embassy to ask for the U.S. Embassy to ask the government to proceed to protect the safety of the Mabasa family. Why should he do that? Parang he could have asked the CIA as well, the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency of the U.S. I mean, that's he wants the U.S. to interfere in what is an internal affair, a domestic affair of the Philippines. And even in the U.S., hundreds of murders are committed every day. But why should the U.S. get interested in the affair of the murder case of the Philippines?
A local crime investigation. There's also something else that he said, and I quote again from his Facebook post on October 29. We acknowledge that Percy had also criticized the Tulfo brothers, known Duterte supporters, for wrongdoing in his commentaries. But we hope Mr. Tulfo does not take it out on Roy Mabasa and refrain from being vengeful and disparaging Percy's family members.
That's what the family said. How presumptuous of them. I mean, I never even listened to, not even once, listened to Lapid's commentary. Why should I? I mean, I'm too busy with my work as a journalist or as a columnist. And even if he did blast me, I can take what I dish out.
Okay. Well, what are you going to do from here on, sir? Because this looks like an exchange between you and...
I will continue to be his fly in the ointment, so to speak, because a journalist should behave like a journalist, just report the news objectively. Or if he happens to be a columnist, to be objective in giving opinion.
Okay. You're going to... You have a column tomorrow that's coming out. What are you going to say there about this latest development?
I just reiterated, I just repeated what I said in my previous column. I said that I commiserate, I condole with the family, but because what happened to Percy Lapid could happen to any of us, especially to me, because I'm a hard-hitting columnist. So to accuse me of hitting the family or not or desecrating the memory of Percy Lapid is downright stupid. Because I'm just saying that he should keep distance from the investigation. He's acting like he's the chief investigator. He's acting like he knows everything. We never did that. When I was a police reporter myself 2 decades ago, and I never interfered in any investigation of the police, even if some of my friends were involved. I remember a journalist getting beaten up. We never interfered. We just said, what's the latest? But journalists should keep away from. As a journalist, he should keep away from the investigation, even if he happens to be the brother of the murdered broadcaster.
What happens if a journalist interferes? What should happen if a journalist interferes in an investigation?
Well, especially him, because he's the brother of Percy Lapid. It might affect the investigation, and he could be, he could be charged with obstruction of justice, interfering. We never interfered in any in my time. As a police reporter, in my time, we never interfered in police investigations.
If you say that he could be charged with obstruction of justice, who could file those charges against him?
The police could file the charges, because when you interfere in an investigation, you could be charged with obstruction of justice, which is under the law.
So far, kanina po, Sir Mon, you heard Attorney Pelayo, the lawyer for the Mabasa family, talking about all these possibilities, suspects, masterminds, witnesses, sworn statements among witnesses, about how this crime was planned and how it turned out. What do you think so far of what has happened and what is likely to happen in the next few days?
As the lawyer said, there's already a suspect. And I'm not surprised that one of them, or there's already one of two masterminds, right? And I'm not surprised because that Bantag is one of them. Because he probably, Percy Lapid blasted at him and he couldn't take it. So he took matters into his own hands.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight, Sir Mon Tulfo. We'll be back after a break. This is Politics as Usual. We still have one more guest. You're still on Politics as Usual. Our final guest for tonight, the Department of Justice spokesperson, Assistant Secretary Miko Clavano. ASEC Miko, good evening. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. We've had two autopsy results, and today Boying Remulla, your boss, Secretary Boying Remulla, talked about what's going to be happening in the next few days. Are there going to be any more plot twists? Meron pa bang surprises that will come out in the investigation?
Well, we're closing in on the case, and I think there's no more surprises that are gonna come out. All the witnesses and all the suspects that we have in custody are all singing the same tune. Kumbaga, they're all saying the same thing, and it's all part of one full story. So it's just a matter of tightening up what that story is, making sure that all the material points are corroborated. And as soon as we have that, then we'll be able to release everything that we have. But until then, we'll just have to wait until the NBI and the PNP do their job, taking sworn statements and making sure that everything is airtight.
How many masterminds are there?
We're looking at two masterminds, and there are a lot more that are in the conspiracy. All those that we have in custody, we're looking at as suspects also and part of the plot. And so all this taken together, we feel like we have gotten to the bottom of this, and it's just a matter of time before we release the information and we file the case.
Regarding the mastermind, the name of ng isang kilalang tao has already been mentioned time and time again. So we're talking about that same person. Can you give us a clue about who the other one is if you're saying that there are two masterminds? And ano yung relationship ng dalawa?
Oh, I can't. I really can't comment on that yet, Ms. P. It's only a matter of time. I think 2 to 3 days, either Friday or Monday, we should be able to release the names. As of right now, We'll just say na lang that there are two masterminds behind all this.
Okay, and the motive will become clearer at the end of the day, right? When you come out with that announcement.
Yes, Pia. We'll definitely have a clear motive, and given all the statements that have been given and all the sworn affidavits that we already have, the story is quite clear. It's just a matter of a little bit more verification and a little bit more validation on the information and taking a bit more of the statements, because we're still not satisfied with the case. Right now, it's very close, but we just have to make sure that when we file a case, that it will succeed. We don't want to file any half-baked cases, so that's why it's taking a bit longer. So please bear with us. Maybe by Friday or Monday at the latest, we'll have the case ready for filing.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Assistant Secretary DOJ spokesperson Miko Clavano. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show, your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.